I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job. Yeah. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I'm born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job. Yeah. Yes, I really love my job. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Yes, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Let's get firmly rooted. Firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. Yeshua, 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 Yeshua. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. We're disciples that make disciples that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples that make disciples. Let's keep firmly rooted. Firmly rooted.
Hey, Rooted Men, Pastor G, good morning. Happy Thursday to you guys. Man, how's it going in Oxford? We've definitely hit fall here in Greendale. It's much colder and definitely feeling that need for pumpkin spice. So guys, tell me about your pumpkin spice favorites. Do you like it in your coffee? I definitely think that we need to be careful about overdoing it with pumpkin spice. There are some things pumpkin spice should not belong in. What do you guys think? What are those recipes that do not call for pumpkin spice? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know. Guys, we got a great devotion here today from 1 Peter chapter 3. We're looking at verses 9 to 12. So thanks for joining with me. Just want to say hi to Pastor Tom watching and Tony Agro. Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Ken Gooch. Thanks for being on here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here and we'll get going. All right. Respond to evil with blessing. Do not repay evil for evil or reviling for reviling, but on the contrary, bless. For to this you were called, that you may obtain a blessing. For whoever desires to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. So guys, I just feel like the Lord has a really wonderful word for us today. And, it's really couched in the devotion from Tuesday, which Pastor led us through. And specifically, he was saying that, Peter was saying that if we are not, if we don't treat our wives well, our prayers are going to get hindered. And I don't think we often think about prayers being hindered. I don't know if you're like me, but I always think, every prayer gets heard, every prayer gets answered in some way or another. But clearly, the Lord is saying that our prayers can be hindered if our thoughts and our attitudes and our actions are not loving and right towards our spouse. And here we have sort of the follow-up to that. I just want to highlight this in verse 12. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayer. The very fact that Peter says that God's ears are open to the prayer of the righteous means that his ears are what to the prayers of the unrighteous? It means that they're not open. Now, we have to be careful. We don't want to start judging who is righteous and who is not. But I have a word for us this morning, guys, that I feel is really going to be helpful for us. And that is a cross-reference to Psalm 37:8. Peter is the whole context of this passage here is, how do we respond when we are reviled? How do we respond when someone curses us, right? And I think it's really easy for us to look at, the ways that others will hurt us and say, hey, I have a right to get even, or I have a right, to vindicate myself, or I have a right, to respond with a curse if someone's cursed me. But Peter's saying, actually, it's just the opposite. When evil is done to us, we are not to respond in evil, but rather we are to respond with a blessing. And Jesus follows that up, doesn't he? Or Jesus actually instigated it. He said, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who persecute you. That is what it means to live out a kingdom life. So here's the thing, guys. We are going to see a connection now in Psalm 37 between evil and worry. Okay, listen to this. I've got it here at the bottom. The psalmist writes, he says, refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. And so how many times, guys, have we stewed over something that someone said to us, or we fretted, okay? And we think, oh, that's kind of innocuous. I can, there's nothing really evil about fretting. But David is saying, actually, that leads to evil, okay? And so even just simply worrying or being anxious about what another has done to us, regardless of how evil it is, I believe, guys, that Peter is calling us to say we have to immediately sacrifice that at the cross, right? We have to immediately take that to the Lord and not hold a bitter root against someone for the evil that they've done to us, because that in and of itself can become evil. Does that make sense? So this is a really challenging word, because I think obviously we think of evil, sort of the big sins, right? We think of evil as, immorality and, drunkenness, all those biggies. But I think Peter is really helping the church that he was writing to, and by extension us, to see that actually evil can be not dealing with the evil that someone has done to us, right? Stewing on it, right? Thinking about, worrying about it, all of that. Because what is our mindset about that person when we're fretting? Our mindset is usually based in fear, right? And we're told, John says, that perfect love drives out fear. Okay, there's no fear in love. So if someone has wronged you, okay, yes, they are in the wrong. Yes, God will deal with them. But our response, how we respond, okay, is just as important. And so if we are not releasing them, if we are not blessing them, if we're not intentionally, actively blessing those who have cursed us and hated us and reviled us, we've lost. And again, this is a challenging message. My goodness, this is preaching to my heart. Okay. But listen, we want our prayers to be heard, right? We want our prayers to be answered. And again, God's ears are open to the prayer of the righteous. And the righteous here in this context, as I understand it, is the one who is not allowing the evil that has been done to him to consume him. Okay. Finally, the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Guys, we don't want God's face against us. We certainly know that the evil that can be done to us, the evil that is very obvious. But there's another evil, and that is the evil of stewing over the wrongs that have been done to us. Okay, we must release that. I've known bitterness. I'm sure you guys have too. I've known what's the expression, right, guys? Unforgiveness is the poison we intend for others, but we end up drinking ourselves, right? So there's so many practical realities that will destroy us if we do not heed God's precious warning to us through Peter here and through, by extension, through David, and of course, our Lord Jesus. So guys, I hope that's helpful. I hope that's encouraging to you that we can be victorious, right? Pastor's always saying sin is love breaking, right? So let's be mindful of those areas where love has broken. We may not have started the love breaking, right? But it is then incumbent upon us to make sure that we correct it in our hearts. Ultimately, we can't control other people, but we can control how our heart responds. Guys, we want to be righteous. And I think we know we need to stay away from the obvious evils that are unrighteous, immorality, drunkenness, all those other things. But here, God is calling us to resist the desire to stew over and to fret over what has been done to us, because that in and of itself is unrighteous. So guys, be blessed by that today. I hope you are. I certainly am. Hey, oh my goodness, everybody's joining on. Ed Pila, good morning. Bert Reggiani, Steve Skopek, good morning. God bless you guys. Hey, I'm still waiting for some comments on pumpkin spice. Oh man, pumpkin spice. Guys, have a blessed day. Have a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace to you, brothers. I'll be back at 8:30 for Strengthening Our Roots. If I see you then, that's awesome. If I don't, I will. Let's see. Next week, Pastor and I, we're going to be down in Minnesota for the LCMC annual gathering, or up, I guess. But after that, we'll be back the following week. So anyway, have a great week next week, guys. Love you, brothers. Adios.